picking right up where part 1 left off. So the Russian authorities did not finally admit that there was a serial killer until like 5 or 6 bodies showed up. So now they start their investigation. They stake out detectives at this bus station. And the reason they do it at the bus station is because this is near the woods where all the bodies are showing up. And a lot of the victims were last seen alive in this bus station. So the detectives see this guy talking to young women, so they take him in for questioning. However, because Andrei was an avid member of the Communist Party, the detectives declared that a man of such fine political character could not possibly also be a murderer, and they let him go. So this guy's murder spree began in 1978 and continued through 1990. And in that time period, he claimed to have killed over 56 children and young women. So in 1990, a detective spots Andrei in a train station covered in blood. And that is still somehow not enough to arrest the man. However, the officer made a mental note, and lo and behold, a couple weeks later, a body is found near that same railway station. So finally, this officer that had seen him with blood on his hands is like, this is our guy. They stake out the railway station again and finally bring him in. They question this man for 8 days with nothing. Until a true fucking king. I cannot pronounce this man's name. But this guy was a psychologist who created a 65-page psychological profile of the serial killer that they were after. And it only took him 2 hours to crack Chikatilo. And he confessed to everything. His trial began in 1992 and he was ultimately tried and convicted of 53 murders. So this is him at his trial, and the reason that he is in this cage was to protect him from the angry families of his victims. Because very understandably, they were trying to attack him and kill him in court. He later cited that the reason that he committed all these murders was because this was the only way that he could achieve sexual gratification. And he committed that first one in 1978 and realized that, and it was basically just unstoppable at that point, and after a few murders, he didn't even try to control his urges. So he was of course found guilty of these 53 murders and he was sentenced to death, and 2 years later he was put to death by firing squad, which I think was way too fucking easy of an out. This guy was a monster. This guy was an absolute fucking monster. And I wish he didn't have this cage around him so those families could have gotten a little bit of justice. If you're interested in this case, I highly recommend this movie, Citizen X. This is more of a thriller as opposed to a horror, but it's based on the crimes and it goes through the process of how they caught him and all that. And it's just a really great movie. Highly recommended.